I'm thrilled that you could join us to imagine justice and celebrate all that we have accomplished together. Although we can't be together in person, we're happy that a virtual event is more accessible and that folks from all over the country can join us and from all over the state. Please help us kick off a lively conversation we aim to have in the chat. So get on YouTube and start chatting. Let us know where you're joining us from. Is it Orlando, Florida, Seattle, Washington, Kennewick, Washington? If you're on YouTube, just use the YouTube comment section. And if you're on Facebook, add your comments below using Facebook. It's easy. I'd like to welcome my co-host, Diana Garcia. She's an Assistant Deputy Director of Advocacy at CLS. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you, Merv. A little bit more about myself. I am based out of our Kennewick office. I have been with CLS since 2007, and this is my second time co-hosting this event. So I like to say welcome and bienvenidos. And speaking of accessibility, this year we're offering Imagine Justice in English via YouTube and in Spanish via Facebook Live. So please see the chat if you want to change streams. I would also like to give a huge thank you to Fanny Cordero, as she is doing live interpretation, and believe me, that is hard to do. Just so you know, we're also recording this year's event in both languages, so we can later share it with you, and so you can, and with others who were not able to join the event, and also, you know, for you if you want to rewatch and live this experience again. If you haven't done so, like Murph stated, please put in the chat where you are joining us from. And if you're having any technical difficulties, please send your name and phone number to our Imagine Justice helpline. And to see helpful tips for how to participate tonight, again, see the links in the chat.
Before beginning, we want to thank our amazing Columbia Legal Services staff. And particularly, we have 3 staff members who have anniversaries of over 30 years. Thank you, Maureen Jeniga, Amy Crutzen, and Denise Davis-Bobino. And thank you to our incredible board, all of who are with us tonight. Please say hello in the chat to the CLS staff and board. We also want to give gratitude to the Legal Foundation of Washington, the Endowment for Equal Justice, and the Campaign for Equal Justice, all of who support our work throughout the year and have for many years. I see Naomi is in the chat.
Tonight we have lots and lots of powerful stories to share. We also have games and prizes to give away. So stay tuned. And now let's imagine what justice can look like when we transform, not just reform, systems of injustice. Together, let's imagine how we can build a just and equitable future together. I would like to introduce Travis Andrews, who is our Director of Equity and Community Engagement and is based in our Seattle offices. Welcome, Travis.
Thank you for the introduction and welcome everybody to Imagine Justice 2021. Please, if you will, indulge me in taking a journey for just a moment. Behind the veil of justice, racism is revealed. With the blood of those who dare to challenge and speak out, soaking through the fabric of our country. The shifting of this reality seems to be remembered mostly by landmark cases like Roe v. Wade, Brown versus the Board of Education, or generational shifting legislation like the desegregation of our country, the emancipation of enslaved people, and most recently, the expansion of hate crimes are often fought in courtrooms and chambers, boardrooms, and even sometimes golf courses. But the reality is, this is not where the bulk of the work happens. You see, those decisions and signings are only the face of the work, and they're no more representative of the work itself than your face is representative of your fullness as a human being. You see, there are people experiencing the conditions we work on. Oftentimes, these people are overlooked and overtalked, under-resourced. There are actual people impacted by undocumented employees catching COVID and not being able to work. There are children without parents because they've been sentenced to life in prison for nonviolent offenses. Without the courage to share these experiences and relive their trauma, no one would ever hear this impact, and our work would be completely disconnected. It's the tireless efforts of partners like the Black Prisoners Caucus, the People's Institute, folks like FUJ, and the dairy farmers in Eastern Washington who refuse to work without proper accommodations to protect themselves and their loved ones. It's people like Mr. Martinez and Maru, like Nikita Oliver, Mary Flowers, John Page. It's people like them who are oftentimes, they don't have legal representation, they do the work without legislative backing or resources to really make an impact systemically. But just for conversation's sake this evening, let's just imagine for a little minute. Imagine if justice worked for everyone. If undocumented farm workers had supplemental resources during the off-season. Imagine if farm workers and incarcerated people alike actually made a living wage. Imagine if incarcerated people were gainfully employed by the companies that benefit from their labor. Imagine if our community partners, who not only live the experiences, but have also dedicated themselves to learn the impact of the system, had the resources to accomplish their efforts and to minimize the impact of the systems. Imagine if they had a statewide legal aid network. Imagine if they had a legion of legal support and lobbyists acting not just on their best interests, but with the recommendation and direction from a place of experience. Impacted people don't really have a choice to be impacted or not. They are all in whether they want to be or not. All in. Let's think about that for a minute. That's the cost. That's the bar that's been set. Because the people that we represent and who are impacted by these systems, they are all in. I ask you today, what are you willing to invest? What are you actually willing to give up? Imagine if we here, everybody under the sound of my voice, all of us who are collected here today, made a commitment to be fully committed. We at CLS are in alignment with our community partners, and we have made the decision. We are committed. We are all in. Won't you please join us? Join our efforts to support the folks who are on the ground during these community movements. And they are the actual bedrock of social change in our country. Will you join us in supporting their efforts, pushing that advocacy, and once again, changing society? Thank you. And I hope you enjoy the program.
Thank you, Travis. Yes, we are all in for community. If you can imagine justice, justice for communities, justice for community leaders, justice for advocacy organizations like CLS, please give. We have some wonderful, generous sponsors who are making this event possible. We would like to thank our sponsors at the advocate level, Group Health Foundation, Schrader, Goldmark, Bender, and Sonata Capital. We have leader level sponsors, Bergman, Draper, Oslin, Undo, Davis Wright Tremaine, Perkins Coie, and CMAR Community Health Centers. Please, Columbia Legal Services stands with and takes directions from the communities that are most impacted by the racialized systems that perpetuate poverty, injustice, and dehumanization. We are working to dismantle and transform systems of mass incarceration and our criminalized immigration systems, systems of oppression that are steeped in white supremacy, and that together we can re-envision so that people aren't caged, that immigrants are centered and respected, and everyone is invited into our circles, into our community, into belongingness. If you'd like to support CLS with a donation, please go to our Give Smart platform using the link in the chat and follow the donation now prompt. If you prefer, you can donate on our website. The donation page is also in the chat. For folks who are on Facebook Live, we are having some technical difficulties that we hope to resolve soon. Fiona?
So another way that you can also engage with us is through social media. What would we do without social media these days? So because you can see us and we can't see you, we have a fun and easy way for you to share a selfie. Who doesn't love a selfie, right? As all you need to do is step into our virtual photo booth and share a selfie of you joining Imagine Justice from your home. Just click on the link in the chat, go to our Imagine Justice virtual photo booth, snap a photo, add a filter if you like, and post, just like Murph just did. You should be able to see everyone who has shared their selfie, including our selfies, so please check it out. You can also share your photo or any other reflections on social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter using hashtag #ImagineJustice. And feel free to tag CLS as well.
Thanks, Tiana, and have a lot of fun with that. Now we would really like to thank one of our amazing pro bono attorneys, Nancy Isserlis. Nancy is of the law firm Winston and Cashett, and Nancy, for several years, worked with our attorneys in our Wenatchee office to provide her expertise in bankruptcy law that resulted in over 50 families in a Royal City mobile manufactured housing park actually purchasing their park. So not only would they own their manufactured or mobile home, they would own the land that it was on. This builds generational wealth. Thank you so much for your time and expertise, Nancy. Please give a shout out to Nancy in the chat. We would also like to thank the Elite Collective for helping us host and produce this amazing event. Thank you, Elite Collective. We would also like to give a shout out and thank you to Adriana Hernandez and Annabelle Hoya, who without them, this would not be possible at all. They have been working incredible hours to make this event possible. Next, I would like to share our Ending Mass Incarceration video. This is a powerful story about some incredibly courageous people who are incarcerated. They are doing powerful advocacy to end mass incarceration. Tony Gonzalez is an attorney in our Wenatchee office. Felix Sithbong is an organizer and advisor for the Asian Pacific Islander Cultural Awareness Group, and he was one of the plaintiffs who was thrown into solitary confinement in the middle of the night. We filed a case against the Department of Corrections to stop this terrible practice. Kamani Carter is active in the Black Prisoners Caucus and founded Taking Education and Creating History, an innovative prisoner education program.
Unfortunately, there's always a group of people who are almost forgotten or set aside, and we were seeing that with people who are currently in prison and jails. And as we were finding out, it was politically unpopular. People were asking me in interviews, why are you advocating for people who are currently incarcerated? Why them and not teachers? Why them and not, parents? Why them and not children? And it was being politicized. And we were able to step in and try and help and push back against that narrative to remind people that we're all going through this together and no one human life is worth less than. We need to be standing up for everyone, and especially the people who are being forgotten or trampled on. They all have amazing stories to tell. They all have stories of triumph and struggle, a lot of experiences to share with us. And how could I not be inspired by them?
My motivation in working on the advocacy is that, it gives my life purpose. Being able to wake up in the morning and know that I'm doing something to impact not only my life but those around me is something that is very fulfilling and purposeful. And at the end of the day, like, my quote unquote debt to society is not to sit in the box and just rot. As harsh as that sounds, that's the easy route. My debt to society is to contribute to leaving the world a little better than how I found it. And I think that being able to do this work, not only for myself, but for my community and my family and my peers, is something that gives my life purpose, that fuels my soul. I think that people should support the work that CLS does, just to ensure that the most marginalized and impacted people are represented, right, as we move towards liberation. Being able to just uplift the voices, of those most impacted is crucial. Being able to understand that liberation isn't just a rich man's game, that liberation should be for everybody, and the work that CLS does is being able to kind of create the conditions and provide a platform that to where liberation is actually accessible to all of us.
My life is one that has always been lived on the margin. I'm a black man of color involved in the criminal justice system, and so, I've been, I come from a generation of poverty, and so I'm definitely familiar with, what injustice looks like. I'm definitely familiar with how mass incarceration can begin to erode away at human dignity. What I'm saying, at self-confidence, self-worth. I have begun and been aware of many people who are, great people whose lives have been lost behind these walls or destroyed, by institutions that really didn't value, poor and lives of people of color. And this is the thing that motivates me to fight. And another thing that also motivates me to fight and to become an advocate is to also see other people fighting alongside me that may not share my experience, but also empathize with my struggle. When I look to my left and I look to my right and I see Columbia Legal Services and I see the Village of Hope and I see many of these other organizations, also being advocates for people that they may not be familiar with or may not know personally. These are also the things that motivate me to continue to, really compels me to be a champion of the people at the bottom. I think that when people feel and need adequate representation, Columbia Legal Services is the group that is representing that, and that's why they should be supported, because they do awesome work and they're doing extraordinary things, and they're also doing it even when no one's looking. Because I would just like to, really give my, my thanks and appreciation, for all of the work that you guys do. For the advocacy work that you guys continue to put forth, for the stands that you continue to make on, the behalf of prisoners, on the behalf of immigrants, on the behalf of people of color, on the behalf of families, on the behalf of organizations, who really need, legal scholars and legal advocates on their side.
There's leaders who are quick to politicize many different decisions, and we need to come back and remind them, these are real people that you're making these decisions on. You need to care for their safety. You need to care for their well-being, just like you're caring for every other, person inside of the state of Washington.
Okay, thank you, Felix and Kimonti. This was for sharing your very powerful story tonight. Also, I'd like to welcome Sarah Max, Denise Bobino, for joining us today. I see you have been posting on chat. And Murph, don't you think it's time that we play a game?
I think it's time we play a game, and I think it's time that people got livelier on Facebook Live. So please get lively, Facebook Live. It's working now.
Super. Glad when things come together again. Okay, so game time. For this, we are going to play an emoji game, okay? So we'll have two winners, one from YouTube Live and one from Facebook Live. So I'm glad that Facebook is now back so you can all play. The prize is going to be a CLS tumbler with special goodies that will be mailed out to the winners to their houses. So here we go. Is everyone ready? I'm gonna say this fast. So the sixth person to put in the YouTube chat and Facebook chat the fist pump emoji wins.
Go.
Production, do we have winners yet? We're still checking.
I don't know if I can even find that emoji.
I know.
Elbow bump.
And let me tell you, right? Social distancing.
Social distancing.
And okay, our first winner is Andra Kranzler.
Andra.
Yay, Andra. Our second winner from Facebook Live. Naomi Kim. Thank you to the winners. So for our winners, just one thing, please email the help desk with your name and we can send you your prizes directly to your house.
Deanna, I think it's time we checked our thermometer.
Yes, let's check it.
All right. Hey, thank you, John Aslin, for your donation of $1,500. And thank you, Martina Cartman, for your donation of $50. It looks like the thermometer is continuing to rise.
Yes, and I hope it just keeps on rising because we do want to meet our goal for tonight. So thank you again to all our donors. We could not do the work without you. Now, let's hear about our Promoting Immigrant Equity Advocacy table and one example of their success for this year. I would like to introduce Andrea Schmidt, who is an attorney with CLS and is based out of our Olympia office, as well as Jose Martinez, who is a community leader and the named plaintiff in the landmark case of Martinez Cuevas versus the Reuter Brothers Dairy Inc. Welcome, Andrea and Jose.
People finding their own power and using their own power change the world, and lawyers can have a role in helping them to do that. An example of that in the advocacy that I've had a chance to do is the founding of Familias Unidas por la Justicia, which is an independent farm worker union that was founded in 2013 in the Skagit Valley. And these were 250 berry pickers who walked off the job in support of a coworker who'd been fired, a coworker who asked for a higher rate in a certain kind of berries. They realized the power that they had, they organized themselves, and then they reached out and asked for help. At the beginning of the pandemic, when folks in packing houses in the Yakima Valley were being exposed to really dangerous conditions around COVID, 7 different packing houses had strikes within a really short period of time. We could file unfair labor practice charges. We could research what employers were allowed to do when there was a group of strikers out in front of a place. When Trabajadores Unidos por la Justicia, which is the union that formed at Allen Brothers Packing, as a result of that strike, when that union first formed, we also, helped them with a bunch of paperwork that they might not have known how to do otherwise, and we're just supporting in that way.
Me han ayudado bastante a mí y hacer un cambio extraordinario aquí en la comunidad y quizás en todo el estado de Washington.
The legislature is a tough place to advocate for farm workers. Really difficult place. It's the place where the power, the extraordinary power of the agricultural industry in this state is on display the most. The landscape completely changed after Familias Unidas por la Justicia came into existence. And that's because previously, we might be able to get one farm worker to come and tell a story about something that had impacted them in particular. Now, familias can get a room full of farm workers to come. They can have 3 or 4 farm workers tell their stories to the people making the decisions. The legislators have to look at the workers, listen to them. I'm motivated these days in part because I can see the connections between this work and the larger social movements that are happening now in this country, racial justice movements. And I can see the ways in which the legacy of slavery affects not only this fight, but essentially every fight we have for farm workers, every fight we have for incarcerated people. And it's all connected to something that is imperative. It has to be done, or we're going to have a world that we can't bear to live in. And I think we're at a moment in this country where we're all questioning which side wins that fight.
Con la ayuda de todos ellos y varias organizaciones más, yo he aprendido muchas cosas sobre mis derechos y cómo mejorar cosas en el trabajo, para mí y para los que me rodean también, ¿por qué no? Para toda la comunidad, con lo que yo pueda hacer, yo lo hago. No me ha afectado, sino que me ha fortalecido, me ha dado esperanza, me ha dado ánimo de seguir adelante.
Thank you so much, Andrea and Jose, for telling that story. It's incredibly powerful advocacy that has affected farm workers around the country. Now it's time to raise the gavel. And I have a question for everyone. Have you ever tried to take a gavel on an airplane? If you have, let me know in the chat. I have. When we argued the Martinez case in front of the state Supreme Court, we received the gavel from that hearing. And I was taking that gavel from Seattle to Yakima to present to the Yakima office. And it was very meaningful. But when I tried to board the plane, I had no idea that a gavel was considered a weapon, a blunt instrument that you could not bring on the plane. So there was no way to get that gavel and me together to Yakima. But eventually we were able to put the gavel in the cargo hold, and it was able to safely travel to Yakima. So tonight, we hope you will raise your gavel, stand for justice, and support CLS in our goal to raise $75,000. And I get asked a lot, where does the money go? $500, for example, can support a state Supreme Court argument like the one in the Martinez case. It can help make sure that our state constitution applies to everyone. People who are living in their cars, people who are working in the fields, people who are facing health consequences in prison from COVID-19. Your $500 donation can help end and transform systems of injustice and unfairness. $250 can be incredibly meaningful. $250 can help a case get filed to stop juvenile detention facilities from handcuffing children and placing them in solitary confinement. $250 can help support a class action to reveal human trafficking violations of farm workers. Your dollars are incredibly important. $250 can help advocate for farm workers, for agricultural workers working in the fields during times of extreme heat and extreme smoke. We all remember the temperatures this summer. Imagine being heavily covered to protect yourself from pesticides and not having the protection that you need in extreme heat and extreme smoke. As a community, we can come together and stand for justice. We, at this point, have raised over Over $67,592. Holy cow, we are so close. Please stand with us, stand with the advocates, and help us achieve justice. Diana?
Yes, and thank you. I mean, we are so very close. 67,000. How much more? Please continue to donate. And I have some very, very good news. I'm very excited right now. So some generous donors are offering a challenge. Everyone loves a challenge. Don't you love a challenge, Murph?
I love a challenge.
Hopefully with this challenge, we can meet our goal tonight. So a big thanks to our board of directors for providing a match.
Go board.
Woo! Thank you, board. So we can match 20 donations at $250 and match 50 donations at $100.
What was that again, Diana?
Again, because this is very amazing, okay? We are looking for 20 donations of $250 and 50 donations at $100. And our board will match these gifts. So again, we believe that personally significant gifts are the most meaningful. So please consider giving what you believe is significant to you. Any gift will help us continue to do our work. I do want to note that we are careful about who we ask for money. CLS has a long history of giving up funding that has excluded certain low-income people or limited their access to justice by prohibiting the use of legal tools such as class action and policy advocacy. So as part of our race equity work, we vet foundations and other funding groups to ensure value alignment. We are also moving toward a community-centric fundraising model that prioritizes collaboration to build community and connection rather than fracture it through competition. So again, that's why we are asking you, our community, to support us.
Thank you, Diana. And tonight we get to celebrate folks from our community as the 2021 Visionary of the Year. And tonight we are recognizing the two named plaintiffs in the class action lawsuit, Martinez versus DeRuyter Farms. Jose Martinez and Patricia Aguilar were dairy workers at the time they agreed to be named plaintiffs in this landmark case that resulted in overtime protection for tens of thousands of agricultural workers in Washington. Unfortunately, Patricia could not be with us tonight, but please join me in the chat in YouTube and on Facebook Live to thank and offer love to Patricia. We thank them for being so patient. This case took years and years to wind through our court system, and then another year or so to actually be decided after it was argued. Thank you, Patricia and Jose.
We as lawyers had been thinking for a long time about a challenge to the exclusion of farm workers from overtime. And we presented that to Jose, to Patricia, and they were committed to the idea that they could help their community on a much broader level than just the folks who worked at that dairy.
The workers are exposed to heat and cold in the fields, and they labor in geographic isolation. They're less likely to be voters, less likely to speak English as a first language, aren't wealthy, in fact, are among the poorest workers in the nation. They have a shorter life expectancy, a higher incidence of disease and disability, limited access to health care, insurance, and education, less likely to have employer-provided health benefits, higher rates of sexual harassment and assault, higher rates of other exploitation, including financial, higher exposure to toxins, more likely to be people of color, at least now, less likely to have sanitary and stable housing, less likely to have collective bargaining rights, less likely to have lobbyists, less likely to make campaign contributions to elected officials. Would you then still suggest that it's a coincidence that labor laws have consistently excluded them from the protections afforded other workers?
Significa una esperanza para un cambio en el futuro por todo lo que está pasando el día de hoy. Porque si no apoyamos, no tenemos la herramienta para tratar de hacer un cambio en el futuro, pues, y desde ahora para adelante. Me da gusto involucrarme con ellos en cualquier actividad que se tenga que hacer yo siempre estoy dispuesto a hacer, a poner mi grano de arena. Me motiva mucho porque al final se están parando todas esas injusticias que yo tuve que pasar. Y al hacer esto, otras personas no tienen que pasar las mismas violaciones que yo tuve que pasar. He estado trabajando porque conozco mucha gente aquí en la comunidad y me hablan de diferentes lugares, tratando de encontrar alguna clase de información, algún lugar donde ellos pueden acudir por ayuda, por tantas violaciones, como dije, que hay alrededor. Así es como me he involucrado yo y sigo todavía hasta el día de hoy. A la hora que me hablen, yo estoy dispuesto a contestar el teléfono. Para mí significa una cosa muy hermosa, porque al final del día he logrado muchas cosas con Colombia Legal Service. Estoy muy agradecido y lo voy a estar todo el tiempo con Colombia Legal Service. Y lo que quiero decir es que a mí me gustaría que más personas en la comunidad se involucraran en esto para hacer un cambio, porque si no se involucran nunca vamos a hacer un cambio. Todos unidos podemos lograr muchas cosas, sea organizaciones o sea ya personas en general que tengan la voluntad de servir y de buscar una manera diferente de vivir, un mejoramiento en general. Por eso estoy muy agradecido y muchas gracias por todo.
Welcome back, and thank you. That video was just amazing. As always, our visionaries are always fantastic. I do want to just mention briefly all the love we are getting on our chats here. For example, so many amazing people here tonight supporting virtually. The best oral argument question ever. Grateful for you. And CLS goes the distance. Thank you for all the love. We really appreciate it. But I think it's time, Murph, and I don't know if you agree with me here, but I think it's time for another game. What do you think?
I think it is. I was just thinking about that oral argument question. I think it was one of the best ever because this case was about dairy workers. And the question was because the growers were saying that it's seasonal, that milking cows is seasonal. And what did Justice Gonzalez say? In what sense is milking cows seasonal? Do you know, Deanna?
Year-round work here. Maybe the cow stopped, right? Every 3 months, but no, year-round work here. But thank you so much. And let's move on to our second game of the evening. So the prize is going to be a TUJ hoodie.
Ooh, I would really like a TUJ hoodie.
They look very warm.
Cool.
Right? And this is the Farm Worker Labor Union that Andrea highlighted. So I'm very excited for this hoodie.
Thank you, TUJ.
Woo, and thank you for all the work, the TUJ leadership. You have done so much fantastic work there. So just a reminder, there will be 2 prizes, one for Facebook Live and one for YouTube Live. This time we are going to have a question instead of an emoji game. So please listen here. So what hashtag have our guests been using to celebrate our event tonight? Time. And for this one, we will select the third person in both YouTube and Facebook Live. Okay, so I think we've given folks enough time. And the answer is hashtag Imagine Justice. And please use it a lot tonight. In all our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, continue to use it. And our winners are, okay, Leslie K. Brown is the first winner.
Woohoo, Leslie.
And who is our second winner?
Come on, Facebook Live. We need you. This is your chance to win a TUJ hoodie.
Josefina Magallana is our next winner. Yay!
Fantastic.
Okay.
Woo! All right.
Thank you for participating here. So for our winners, to get your prize, please remember to email the help desk with your name.
And let's take a look at our fundraising thermometer. Where are we at? Are we close to our goal?
So exciting.
So excited. We are at 72,382, Deanna. We are so close.
Please continue to contribute.
And thank you, Curtis Schmidt, for your generous donation of $1,000. And thank you, Kelly Suter, for your donation of $250. We have many other folks donating as well.
We have reached our goal, Murph.
We reached our goal. Thank you. We are over the top by $392. That is so exciting. Woo.
You are all amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What an incredible, fantastic community. We would like to end with one last thought around voting. So remember that we all have power and we are all in community. While it may not be an election year, there are many important local elections happening around the state. We all have the power to vote. We all have the power to contact and work with our representatives. Anyone can testify in Olympia. Anyone can reach out and tell your representative where you stand. Election day is November 3rd. And all year round, you can be engaged in what happens in your community and in your world. There is so much hope. Be inspired by Jose. Be inspired by Patricia. Be inspired by Camante. Be inspired by the advocates at CLS. Please vote for justice. If you're incarcerated and undocumented and can't vote, still raise your voice, take action, testify. Please check out our website at columbialegal.org for more information. I'm so excited to be part of this community and part of Columbia Legal Services. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. There are other ways to support and get involved. Join us on social media. Sign up for email updates. And thanks so much again for being with us. And thank you, Deanna. This was really fun, if a little nerve-wracking.
No, thank you. Thank you, Murph. And I just want to give out one last reminder. Our Imagine Justice campaign lasts for another week. So the end of the campaign is October 21st. So please tell your friends, your family, your coworkers to donate and help us continue to go above the goal we have already met. And thank you very much for, getting us there. Muchas gracias a todos. Buenas noches y hasta el año que viene. And thank you for joining us today, and good night.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.